Why are the Americans threatening Burkina Faso? Why is Trump going to back for the French and going after this guy? Why is the head of the U.S. AFRICOM, the Africa Command, talking about the need to secure Burkina Faso's resources? Because this guy is the boogeyman to European imperialism. He's a young black African Muslim Marxist who is digging out the French deep state in Africa. French colonialism never ended in Africa. The French have a very effective deep state in Africa. Through the banking system, through fake ownership of the natural resources of Africa, they have been able to maintain economic and political and military control over much of their former colonies. Most of the wealth of France is still stolen from Africa. The gold that fills their banks, the uranium that powers their metropolis, all of this is looted from Africa. When they pulled out, they installed a deep state with corrupt rulers that they could pay off in order to get resources for practically nothing. And Traoré is ending that system. French created a banking system for Africa that gives France basic entire control over those nations' economies. The Africans actually have to borrow their own money at interest from France. And the gold mines, the uranium mines, all the natural resources in these countries are treated as French property, and Traoré has been making them property of the Burkinabe people. And as leader of the Alliance of Sahel States, his neighbors have been joining in on it. France has been getting driven out of Africa. Some good information on it. Check out the Al Jazeera documentary, The Gold Mafia, from Al Jazeera Investigates, or this Caspian Report video about how the French bank basically owns a bunch of African countries. Now, while Trump probably does not have any direct financial interest in the French Empire, there's what they always called the threat of a good example. The reason they tried to kill Fidel Castro so many times and blockaded Cuba was not just because of the loss of the banana fields and sugarcane fields. It was that if driving imperialism out of a country improves the standard of living in that country, then there's the threat of a good example of other countries replicating. So any country that dared to defy imperialism had to be severely punished. And what Brother Ibrahim has been doing and the Alliance of Sahel States have been doing has been improving the standard of living in their countries by using those resources for those countries, and that is a threat to imperialism worldwide. There's been something like 20 or 21 coup attempts or assassination attempts on him so far, and they're not going to stop. This guy is perhaps the single greatest threat to the imperialist world order right now. Tomorrow, April 30th, there's supposed to be a continent-wide protest for him across Africa. His cause is being taken up all over the continent, and it is a wonderful thing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I really do appreciate your love and support on this channel. So on our today's episode, I'm really happy seeing people in support of the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré. So there is a lot that has been happening in Burkina Faso, and it seems like the white supremacists are not happy of what's happening in that country. We all know that Westerners have always taken advantage of African resources in different African countries, and they've always tried to paint this negative picture about Africa, calling it a poor continent and always showing the negative parts of our beautiful continent. And now that people are actually waking up and not believing everything that they actually see on the mainstream media, people are talking out, and thank you to social media because it has actually helped people to see Africa for what it is. I want us to watch these videos together, guys, of white people reacting on what's happening and what has been trending about Ibrahim Traoré. Of people have tried to unalive him and take him out, and they are like, no, we are not going to allow this to happen. It's not like in the old days that we could just believe what the mainstream media is telling us, because they're saying that he's taking away human rights and a lot more that we actually gonna see on our today's episode. Every clip and every stitch that you'll be seeing on our today's episode, credits belongs to the original creators of these videos that you're seeing on your screens. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my good name is Gracie D. Kindly consider subscribing to this channel. Let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. So let's just dive right ahead and we'll come back with more commentary.
Why Ibrahim Traoré is posing such a big problem for the West and why they want rid of him. Because this guy's doing what a leader should do. He's protecting African people and he's protecting African resources. Take a look at what Ibrahim Traoré's done since he was elected in 2023. Increased the GDP of Burkina Faso from 18.8 billion to 22.1 billion. He reduced the salaries of ministers by 30% and increased the salary of civil servants by 50%. He made Burkina Faso a debt-free country. Now think about what our government is doing to farmers in the UK, and then look at what Ibrahim Traoré has done for farmers in his country. He bought them 400 tractors, 239 tillers, 710 motorbikes, 714 pumps, which meant the production of millet, rice, tomatoes and cotton rose by millions of tons. But the main reason why they want rid of Ibrahim Traoré is because he's banned the colonial exploitation from France and the West, who for years have kept Africa poor and weak by exploiting the minerals. All the gold, oil, platinum, diamonds, all these precious minerals have been extracted from Africa. The African people have been paid pennies, and that's what's keeping them poor. Now he's a problem, he's a terrorist, and the West have to go in and help Burkina Faso, just like we went in and helped Palestine, we went in and helped Syria, just like we went in and helped Libya. They destroy the infrastructure and destroy the lives of the people so they can get what they want, line their own pockets, and have complete control of how the world works. And if Ibrahim Traoré, God willing, stays alive and succeeds, this is a big problem for the New World Order moving forward. It means no one world government, it means no one world currency, because if you can't control Africa, you can't control the world. So this is why we need to pray for this man, this is why we need to keep him alive, and this is why we don't believe anything we see on the mainstream media about him being a problem, a terrorist, an extremist. Someone with empathy, someone with courage, someone who's willing to die for his people for what he believes.
Also insulted all Africans.
I think they forgot to say thank you to us. It's not a big deal. It will come with time.
There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude.
Gratitude, I am well aware, is a non-transmissible disease to humans.
He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human in his eyes. I think that if he is not an atheist and he prays, every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray to the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to us.
France occupied Burkina Faso for generations. They stole gold and uranium, billions of dollars of resources for pennies on the dollar, while the people of Burkina Faso suffered. But Burkina Faso's new revolutionary leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, says no more. Traoré has kicked out all of the French troops from his country in Africa. He has banned exports of gold to Paris, and he has dropped French as the official language of Burkina Faso. It's a total cultural, political, and economic reset. Now, obviously, French President Emmanuel Macron is kind of upset with all of this. He has made his position known. And President Traoré beautifully responded. He said, if anyone is ungrateful, it is him, Emmanuel Macron. France exists today thanks to our ancestors. They should pray for us. And Burkina Faso is making it clear that this is not about some attack on France. This is about independence and sovereignty. Just last week, Burkina Faso's President Traoré decided to release 4 French spies who were guilty of attempting to commit a coup against the president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, in 2022. The message is clear. Burkina Faso is not the pawn of France or the Dutch or the United States anymore, but forgiveness is also at the heart of their revolution. Traoré says that this is not just a split, it is a revolution with global ripples. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Apparently Trump works for French bankers now. He's threatening to arrest Ibrahim Traoré. You ought to know who he is. He's the youngest president in the world. He's the president of Burkina Faso, and he has been wrapping up the French Empire in Africa. The French are still looting Africa through the banking system, through ownership of all the natural resources in Africa, and they've been straight looting the place. And this guy's been leading the charge to not do that shit anymore. Trying to opt this guy like he was Fidel Castro. I should tell you something. It's probably doesn't seem to be very well known in the world media, but this is one of the most significant dudes in the world right now.
Have you heard of President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso? All right, young man, been in power 2 years now, president of Burkina Faso. He's a military guy, captain. And I don't know if you know about this, but there's been about 18 assassination attempts on his life. And he came into power at a very strategic time in the history of Burkina Faso, a lot of difficulty, instability. And he's done quite a few amazing things in his 2 years, even though they've tried to assassinate him so many times. If you go and look what he is trying to do in terms of key reforms aimed at stabilizing his nation. He has built schools, hospitals, roads, developed agriculture, donating a lot of tractors and equipment for agricultural development so they can produce their own food. They have stopped exporting raw materials. They are trying to process gold themselves, hospitals, all those kind of things. You know, there's a lot of things, even airport, all right? And so there's a lot of development that's going into Burkina Faso at this moment in time. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at this whole thing. Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything he is doing, all right? I'm also not saying that everything he's doing is bad. I think any president that is building schools, working on education, all right? Any president that is bettering the health care of their people, that's trying to help their people to become more self-sustainable, less reliant on imports, etc., increase production in the country, factories, job creation, etc. I think that is a praiseworthy president. And so the interesting thing is, when it comes to Africa, and you go and look at the history of the last 20 years of Africa, and presidents that have been removed either through a military coup and or assassinated and or removed weird circumstances or committed suicide, you know. A lot of those, or let me rephrase that, some of them were corrupt, all right? All of them were not good. But there were a number of them whose heart was really to better their country. But they have something in common, and that is that they went against the global establishment, if I can put it like that. And I'm not going to define that, go into details, all right? I think you know what I'm talking about. And so a lot of them just suddenly left this earth in sometimes a very bizarre way. So I'm looking at President Ibrahim Traoré, and I'm not saying, again, I'm agreeing with everything he's doing, especially with some of his alliances, some of the other leaders in Africa that he's endorsing. Some of them are questionable, all right? But it is very clear that he's got a heart for his people and for his nation. And in his aim to develop his own country, there's been roughly 18 assassination attempts on his life. And if you look at the trend of African leaders disappearing when they want to build their own countries and invest in their people, isn't that a bit strange to you? Isn't that bizarre, you know? Now, I know what's going on. I'm not talking from a position of ignorance, all right? The thing is just I can't discuss a lot of these things on this platform, all right, because of the fact that the video will be removed. Free speech is not always as free as you think. You know, there's a price to pay. In any case, so I'm looking at this whole situation with interest and seeing where this is going. But I'll tell you one thing. If I look at what has happened the last 2 years with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, I would say if I was him, I would sleep with one eye open. And it's very hard to know who you trust in circumstances like that. And that is true for any leader, any government official, any president. Sometimes you don't know who are friends and who are your enemies. And but let's keep our eye on this. Very interesting developments, and a lot is changing in Burkina Faso at this moment in time.
Alassane Ouattara, the president of Ivory Coast. Listen me very carefully. If you are going to let American use your air bases or military forces to try kill Ibrahim Traoré or destroy Burkina Faso or destroy Mali or destroy Niger, I am telling you straight, you will face us. And we will point you as Africa's enemy. This is direct warning to you.
Seeing this actually makes me so happy, because when I actually started my channel, I was doing traveling content, trying to showcase the positive part of our beautiful continent, Africa. And I did that for quite some times, and I jumped into reactions whereby I'll be going back to traveling and showing the positive part of our beautiful African continent, because it has always been my passion. And now seeing people talking about Burkina Faso and people congratulating Ibrahim Traoré for what he's done, and people not believing what the mainstream media is actually selling them, it just makes me so happy. It just gives me joy, happiness, and peace in my heart. And also peace in my mind, knowing that and seeing this tells me that we are actually heading the right way. Just because it's not all the African countries that are actually following Ibrahim Traoré's footsteps, I believe that one day, and I've always believed that one day we'll get where Africa is supposed to be. So some people might ask, like, what is happening? So since Ibrahim Traoré took over Burkina Faso in September 2022, has initiated a series of significant reforms across various sectors, which some people are actually not happy about it. And this is why they are actually labeling him a criminal, saying that he's actually against human rights, democracy, and a lot more. And I'm here sitting asking myself, who cares about democracy when the country is actually doing well? Who cares about democracy when the country can stand for its own, when the country can support its people? Ibrahim Traoré has given free education from junior to seniors until university for his citizens. And what more do you want? And some of these people that are actually coming here and trying to, intimidate what this man is doing. Some, when we look back in their country, it's not like in the old days that we used to believe that those are the greatest countries that we have in the world. It's not like in the old days that every person wanted to go and live in those countries. Every African, when they are done with their high school, they're like, I want to go and further my education outside Africa continent. It's because this is actually what we were told. This is what we've grown being told, that Africa is not a place that you can make it in life. Africa is not a place that you can get the good education. And all that Ibrahim Traoré is trying to change the narrative. And other people that have done it before, we know what they've done to them. Now they are trying to do the same thing to this man. A lot of good things are happening in Burkina Faso. And the world, or some people, are actually not happy to see this, including some African leaders that are always in support of colonization, including some African leaders that are not supporting Ibrahim Traoré, including some African leaders that are saying that he's not following democracy that was brought to us by foreigners. We cannot make our own rules. We cannot make our own laws. We cannot make our own policies, because what? We have to listen to what our colonizers have to tell us, and we have to follow that. Enough of those days. Those days are over. And this is why you're seeing so many people are angry at this. Now, I want us to look some of the things that Ibrahim Traoré has achieved since taking power in September 2022. Economic and industrial reforms, nationalization of gold mines. The government has nationalized 2 major gold mines previously owned by foreign entities, aiming to increase states' revenue and control over natural resources. This move is part of broader strategy to prioritize national expertise and local suppliers. Establishment of SOPAMIB. The state mining company was created to oversee the nationalized mines and ensure that mining benefits the population of Burkina Faso. And this is actually making a lot of people angry, and we know who they are. Economic growth. Under Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso GDP grew from approximately $18.8 billion to $22.1 billion, reflecting economic resilience despite security challenges. Debt management. The administration has paid off local debts and rejected loans from international financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank, emphasizing economic sovereignty. Security and defense. Military enhancements. The government doubled military spending and established rapid support forces to aid overstretched troops, particularly in the northern regions. The use of drones and helicopters in government offensives has also increased. Creation of rapid intervention brigades, special rapid intervention brigades equipped with advanced protective gear, enhanced firepower have been formed to combat terrorism and protect national sovereignty. Infrastructure and agriculture. Infrastructure development, significant investments have been made in building new roads, widening existing ones, and converting gravel roads to paved surfaces to improve connectivity and economic integration. Within those few years that he's also been in power, the construction of a new airport is underway, aiming to position Burkina Faso as a regional hub. Agriculture initiatives, the establishment of the National Support Center of Artisanal Cotton Processing and the construction of 2 tomato processing plants mark significant steps in agriculture and modernization and value addition. You know, with everything that Burkina Faso is doing, considering that it's a landlocked country and looking at other African countries, it's just making other countries or other African countries look like a joke, and other African leaders look like a joke. And I'm so happy about what this guy is doing. You know, like, I support everything that he's doing for his people, and we know that people have tried to unalive him because of their own reasons that we all know, and saying that he's not following the constitution, saying that he's actually suppressing judicial independence. This is what they actually always tell us, and they are talking about human rights, and they're saying Human Rights Watch has reported that the military authorities are exploiting emergency laws to illegally conscript judges and prosecutors who have initiated legal actions against junta members. This move is perceived as an attempt to undermine judicial independence and suppress legal challenges to the junta's authorities. I mean, it's quite funny when the Westerns are always talking about human rights. For example, look at what's happening in the United States of America. People that are actually born and they have the rights to be American citizens through naturalizations. And now kids as low as 2 years are actually getting deported back, I don't know where. I mean, and you want to come here and tell us about human rights? With everything that's happening in most Western countries, you want to come here and say that Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, does not respect human rights. With all that we've been seeing happening in your countries. It's so crazy, guys, but I don't know what these people still think about Africans. I mean, they think that we still like in the old days where they can come and just, lie to us about everything and we have to follow everything that they say. So Burkina Faso, for those of you who don't know, it's very rich in natural resources, particularly in the following key areas. Gold, Burkina Faso's top export and main economic driver, one of Africa's largest gold producers with dozens of industrial and artisanal mines. Major companies have operated in the country, but recent naturalization's efforts aim to increase local control. And this is why so many people are actually not happy about this. Manganese deposits, particularly in the Tambo mine, are among the largest in the world, mainly used in steel production and batteries. We actually understand why they are also not happy about this. Phosphates used in fertilizer production, reserves found in several regions including the Kojadari area. Limestone and marble, abundant and used for construction for those who don't know. And zinc, copper and lead, commercial deposits exist though less exploited than gold. Zinc mining is becoming increasingly important. Other resources that they have in Burkina Faso are granite, dolomite, and bauxite in smaller quantities. Arable land for agriculture, cotton is the main cash crop, potential for solar energy due to its sunny Sahelian climate. So because some people will be like, what does Burkina Faso have? Because I've seen so many videos of ignorant people and I can see their ignorance when they're actually talking about Africa. And for those of you that actually think that Africa is a country, no, it's not. It's a continent consisting of 54 countries, and Burkina Faso is one of them, which actually is not such a big country that's giving these people trouble. Imagine if Burkina Faso can do this, if Burkina Faso can give people strays, if Burkina Faso can make some leaders come and try to paint the president of Burkina Faso as a bad man, as a criminal, as a terrorist. What do you think we can achieve as Africans if we all agree to come together in African leaders and fight for what's really ours and fight for what we believe? Let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching up to this part, and until the next episode, bye.